That's like, oh yeah. I'm about to start a meeting now. Sorry for the delays. Good day, members, colleagues, guests, and everyone present in a meeting. I will start introducing myself and my colleagues. My name is Baba Rambengo. I'm the secretary of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Next to on my left, it's Ms. Sihau Nobesuto Sihau. She's the executive secretary of the Office of the Chairperson. And on my right, it's Ms. Nicolette Fanzil Khosa. She's the Conan advisor of the committee. And then at the back, I've got Mr. Lobi. He is Mr. Kolisile Lobi. He is the committee assistant. Members will first read the attendance list to check if all the members are present. If there are any apologies, I will also table the apologies. I will read the list. I will kindly request the members to raise their hands so that we can see the member that we are calling his or her name. Ms. Mbiyo, Mr. Klote, Ms. Mukwena, Miss, it's written Miss, but Mr. Blagis, Miss Mola, okay, Mr. Mola, sorry, it's Miss, okay, sorry for that. Miss Kola Barnard, Mr. Cameron, Mr. Skosana, Mr. Taibosh, okay. Miss Ali Tlape, okay. Mr. Dr. Zlozi, Rev Meshwa, he indicated that he won't be able to attend a meeting. Mr. Adams, Mr. Gina, Ms. James. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, members. We do have a meeting. We do have a quorum. I'm going to start a meeting now. The agenda of today's meeting is to elect the chairperson of the committee. In terms of rules of the National Assembly 159, 158, the committee must elect one of its members as the chairperson of the committee. I will now call on the members to nominate for the position of the chairperson.
Thank you, Babawa. I'm Diane Kohler-Barnard. I nominate Honourable Ian Cameron as the chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a second, members?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Windy Pledges. As recorded, I'll second the proposal from the ANC.
Yes, thank you. I accept the nomination.
Members? Mr. Cameron, you are duly elected as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Congratulations. I now invite you to come to the front and take a seat so that you can proceed with the meeting. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone, honourable members, and everyone else that has joined today. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. I think, just as a brief remark before we begin with proceedings, over the last few months there have been several examples. I was actually speaking to some honourable members outside, specifically regarding crimes against women and children, that have really caught a lot of attention in the media. And I think we have got an immense responsibility to really highlight their plight for help, urgent help, and we've got an opportunity to really bring oversight directly to those communities. I would just like to welcome everyone today. Before we start, Minister Matale, Deputy Ministers, General Labia, and all the other stakeholders, and looking forward to it. I think we can start with adopting the agenda. I think there are certain people that are still going to enter from what I see outside, but we will welcome as we then proceed. Is there anything that, can we adopt the agenda? Is everyone comfortable with it? And is there anything that you would like to add? Thank you. Are there any specific apologies?
Yes, Chair, I did receive an apology from Rev Meshwa. He indicated that he won't be able to attend the meeting today.
Thank you. I heard yesterday, it might have just been in the hallway, but that the new Minister of Police might not be able to attend. Minister, do you know by any chance? Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Just some opening remarks regarding today. Everyone should have received the necessary documentation of what will be discussed throughout this session that will go through the afternoon with regards to police, IPID, etc. And I think, as I said earlier, is that we've got an immense responsibility to really bring oversight to the ground. Something that I noted that I think it's important to introduce with. Just have a brief moment. Sorry, any of the members sitting to my left, honourable members of Parliament, if at all possible to sit on this side, just that we have enough space for members of the police and the different departments that are attending. I would really appreciate that. No, I just want to make sure that the police have enough space to sit. Thank you very much. General Masemola, it's good to see you. Welcome with the team. I know we started slightly late due to a previous committee, so everyone's timing is actually now perfect. And I would like to hand over straight to you for the first presentation regarding the South African Police Service Annual Performance Plan and the budget for 2024-25. Thank you, General.
Morning, Chair. As I indicated earlier on, we maybe I should start this way. To congratulate you on your election as the chairperson of the committee. From the ministry, we wish you well, and we want to assure you of our cooperation with yourself and committee members. We will work with you to ensure that you become successful as a committee in making us accountable to Parliament through yourself and the team. Well wishes from our side.
Thank you very much, Minister. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had indicated that the minister will be able to join us, but he is not here. Oh, he's here. Okay. Yeah, no, Minister, thank you very much. You can lead us. I just thank the chair for his election to lead this committee, and committing ourselves to support and work with the committee. Over to you, Minister. My apologies.
Well, thank you very much. If I am deemed to have come late, I want to apologize, and say that it was the way I was advised. I was advised to wait until you are through, and all of a sudden they said, you are now ready. So my apologies, nevertheless. So greetings to the Deputy Ministers, to you as Chair, and honorable members of our Portfolio Committee and the National Assembly. Greet the officials from our department. I won't repeat what I heard Deputy Minister Matale say. I would only say that what he said is in order, including that the report that I would come and that he was not aware that I'm here. That is also in order. Otherwise, just to say one or two things, indeed, we want to congratulate you for being elected as chair of the Portfolio Committee. You will be aware, like we are aware, that you have, together with all of us, when we're here, quite a big task of ensuring that we earn our existence, we earn our titles, all of us, because if we don't do so, it would mean that not only have we failed ourselves or the committee, but the National Assembly as a whole. And secondly, it's unfortunate that we can't just say to ourselves, or no, we're delivering, we're working. It's people out there who must say, together, all of us here are working. They must experience it, they must feel it, they must see it. If they don't see it, no matter how far we see it here, no matter how far we say we're making progress, if they don't say so, then it means we're not making progress, and we must accept that. So as we work going forward, we hope that there will be something to show to the people that we're working, and that's the only way of earning our titles. Otherwise, it won't be worthwhile. So we're here today under your leadership and guidance, and we hope that we'll finish our business on time so that we're able to do other things outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I was about to say that you infiltrated this building so well that the Deputy Minister didn't even notice. It was brilliant. With that, we may start. General Masemola, I think I can hand over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Before.
Honourable Ndlozi, please.
Thanks, Chairperson. I just want to make a a general statement about the quality of oversight. Most of all that is going to be presented today was shared last night. So I want to direct my comments to you, Chair, that we don't want a situation where we are steamrolled by the executive. The committee, at least in your hands, in your direction, must be allowed to do qualitative oversight, preparation for what is going to happen. So I'm seeing that in the program, for an example, there's a consideration of all annual performance plans of all entities. I just want to caution that we may be putting ourselves as members of parliament in a very dangerous situation of not thoroughly preparing for engagement with the executive. I'm cautioning that. I know that generally in parliament there is a rule or a legislation that the budget must be concluded end of July. But the president is the one that put us in this situation by announcing the executive late. And now we have this difficult situation. Regardless of that, we mustn't retreat from proper parliamentary work. Must not be steamrolled. We do all these things today and then we're subjected to a mini budget debate. It's not a very responsible approach. So in thinking about the program of the committee, can we take seriously the sufficient time for members? Because they come probably properly prepared, the DGs, the commissioners, and all of that. They've been seized with the detail of this information for a much more longer time. Some of the members are new, and we don't want to do poor work as Parliament. I'm bringing this to your attention, that please consider that in your leadership of the committee, not to subject yourself to the dictates of the national executive. We have to do quality work. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Ndlozi. I think it's a very valuable point. I don't think we should see a process like today as a mere formality. I think it is something that we need to give the relevant consideration, as you've said. So with that, General Masemola, I think third time lucky. I think just in terms of time appointments, we're aiming for 30 minutes for the first presentation, if that's okay with you, General. Just in order for everyone, I know, Minister, I think you have to catch a flight as well. Again, Honourable Ndlozi, I don't want to steamroller. We'll make sure we do the relevant to go over everything properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, and good afternoon and congratulations on your appointment as the Chair of the committee. To honourable members of the committee, the Minister of Police, Honourable Senzo Mkhunu, Deputy Ministers, Mepoli Ushielo and Dr. Castle Matale, and everybody else in the House. Thanks very much. I will start with the presentation, Honourable Chair. I'm accompanied by the Deputy National Commissioners. Next to me is Lieutenant General Msigidi, responsible for policing, and next to there is Lieutenant General Sevilla, responsible for detectives and crime intelligence, and next there is Lieutenant General Dimpane, Acting Deputy National Commissioner Support Services, and she's also the CFO for the department. The presentation is going to be, the financials will be done by her, the CFO, and the management information will be done by General Ravi. As an introduction, Honourable Chair, as the Vote 28, we have got 5 programs as the South African Police Service, which we administer the 113 billion allocated to us as of 1st April, this current financial year. The first program is administration, which includes the ministry. The second program, which is takes a bigger part, over 50% of the budget, is visible policing, which entails all uniform policing, including your police stations and all other uniform police. Program 3 is the detective services, which include the DPCI, which is ring-fenced. Their budget is ring-fenced within Program 3. We have Program 4, which is your crime intelligence. The last program is Program 5, which we will have Presidential Protection Services and Protection and Security Services Division within the Program 5. I'll ask the CFO just to take us through the financials and General Ravi to take us through the performance information, the APP. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Good morning to the Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, Minister of Police, the Deputy Ministers, National Commissioner, and all protocol observed. I'll go directly to slide number 4. In terms of this that I'm going to present, Chair, we received our allocation as contained on the ENE for 24-25, appropriate this expenditure in terms of programs as well as economic classification. I think to note on this particular slide is that over 22 billion additional funding was allocated to SAPS over the MTF, essentially to cater for compensation of employees over a period of 3 years for the carry-through costs for the 2023-24 cost of living salary adjustments. Additionally, 290 million was allocated to the department for us to be able to deliver a safe and secure provincial and national elections. However, over 8.6 billion was reduced in terms of operational funding. The following line items were affected. Goods and services, we had a reduction of 4.9 billion. Buildings and fixed structures, a reduction of over 1.5 billion. With machinery and equipment, a reduction of over 2 billion, and an amount equaling to 7.9 million on biological assets. The next slide only depicts or is an extract from the allocation letter. The green lines indicate the baseline increases from the initial allocations. The red line indicates the baseline decreases that I spoke to on slide 4. Going to the next...
Sorry, General. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I just have a quick question. In terms of the, the machinery and equipment on slide 4, that reduction, is it machinery and equipment regarding operational tools as well?
Machinery and equipment would mean this is the line item where we procure vehicles, where we procure furniture and other items that are over 5,000 rand in this particular gun.
And would it include the maintenance as well?
It will include, no, it doesn't include maintenance. Maintenance is under goods and services.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
As I indicated on page 5, the red line indicates the baseline decreases and the green line indicates the baseline increases. Over page 6, this is just an indication that we come from a low base where our budget was growing annually with an average of 3.4%. There is a bit of a growth when you look at the new MTF, where the average annual growth is expected to be at 5.8%. Going to page 7 or slide 7, this slide indicates the financial programs as alluded to by the National Commissioner. Visible policing carries over 50% of this particular resource. For 24-25, an allocation of 21.9 billion is allocated for administration. Administration's weight in terms of this resource allocation is 19.3%, with visible policing carrying 52.9%. Detective services, our program 3, is allocated 22.5 billion, and it's weighs 20% of this particular budget split. Crime intelligence with an allocation of 4.7 billion, and protection and security services with an allocation of just over 4 billion. I must indicate that the detective services includes as well the allocation for DPCI, which is specifically allocated in this regard. The bulk of our new recruits are placed under Program 2 for frontline services in this regard. Moving along to slide number 8, this is just an indication of this broad split in terms of economic classification. These are the items that represents goods and services to pursue purposes and functions of the department. Under current payments, you will note that compensation of employees carries the bulk of this allocation at 81.4%, with goods and services allocated over 16 billion with an average weight or size of 14.9%. Transfers and subsidies, there is 1.3 billion that is allocated there. Payments for capital assets with 2.8 billion for 24-25. Buildings and other fixed structures with an amount of 548 million that has been allocated. Machinery and equipment, 2.2 billion has been allocated. With the substantially reduced operational funding framework, it was deemed necessary that we engage National Treasury. We will be embarking on a process where we are requesting fund shifting to the operational category during the budget adjustments in this regard. The next slide. This slide indicates a broad split of compensation budget. We essentially cater for the wage bill, that will be your salaries, your pensions of police, service bonus, personnel, etc. at 66.9 billion. Cost of living salary adjustment is also provided for, as I indicated, for 24-25 at 3.7 billion, with pay progression allowances also provided for. Overtime that was provided for to police the elections as well is included there. Rental and housing is also catered for at 3.5 billion. Medical schemes, that will be your Polmet and GEMS at 11.1 billion. And we catered for a staggered approach in the enlistment of the students for this year, with 4.5 going in April and 5.5 going in the latter part of the financial year. There's also a small amount there that we have put aside to cater for all the discretionary HRM activities, such as your promotions of police, DPCI appointments, and filling of critical vacancies. Chair, in terms of general remarks, we are indicating as the police that personnel is the primary cost driver in the vote and also drives direct operational expenditure. Compensation of employees or expenditure is more than 80% of the vote. It is therefore annually determined from zero, taking into account existing personnel as well as new personnel where after they are apportioned between programs. Operational funding or expenditure is preeminently goods and services and machinery and equipment in order for us to perform services. This comprises of less than 20% for the total budget in 24-25. Essentially, there is 3 types of this particular line items: is compensation budget, operational budget, as well as capital budget. Departmental spending over the MTEF will be in relation to the core programs within visible policy, more than 52% weight of the total vote, the detective services more than 20%, and the growth rate for the vote from 24-25 to 26-27 is 5.8 due to the additional compensation funding being allocated, as I had alluded to before. Additional funding allocated over the 2022 and 2023 MTEF was essentially for recruitment of additional personnel, and this will allow growth in personnel numbers up to 25-26 financial year. Our spending focus for the MTEF in terms of goods and services, Chair, as well as capital investment, we are focusing on gender-based violence as well as additional resources put aside to ensure that our FCS units are well resourced. We also have put money aside to ensure that we sustain forensic services baseline allocation. In the past, we had challenges there, and we had redirected funding there, and we intend to ensure that we sustain that particular baseline to deal with those particular challenges. Capacitation of DPCI as well as detective services is also on our priority focus, as well as cybercrime and the resourcing of specialized multidisciplinary units. The capacitation of frontline services, this includes your police stations as well as capacitation of 10,111 is our focus area in terms of spending. Capacitation of crime intelligence remains a priority, as well as skills and development in our effort to ensure that we continue to professionalize the police. Capacitation of our existing POP units, interventions through deployments to address and stabilize crime in hotspot areas, as well as investing in our vehicle fleet for POP, as well as our criminal record centers. The support to community policing forums in terms of resources we have provided for such, investing in capital assets consisting of machinery and equipment, essentially procuring more transport assets, infrastructure, as well as mobile police stations is also our spending focus for the MTEF, as well as a focus on other critical items to equip members to effectively do policing, such as procurement of bulletproof vests, uniform, etc. This remains critical tools of trade for police to successfully render their duties. That is, in short, in terms of our broad split for the budget. If you allow me, Chairperson, that I hand over to General Rabi to take us through the annual performance plan.
Thank you, General. That's 100%. Once we're done with that, then we can go through some questions and answers from the members. Thank you.
Good morning, Honourable Chair, Honourable members of the committee, the Honourable Minister and Deputy Ministers, the management of the various entities represented here today. Chair, on slide number 14, I will take you through the factors that we've considered as a department and the issues that are included in the annual performance plan of the South African Police Service. The purpose of this slide is just to briefly reflect the different factors that the department considered in compiling the annual performance plan of the department, and as it is linked to the strategic plan. Maybe just capturing a few of the aspects that are raised there. It's broadly categorized according to the external threats that we had to consider, as well as internal challenges. And as far as the external environment is concerned, the emphasis was on the categories of crime that affects the well-being of the safety of people in South Africa, threats to the economy of the country, the threats to the authority of the state, as well as threats to the territorial integrity. And then focusing inward, it includes issues around the aging infrastructure, the budget reductions that has been reduced, etc. The annual performance plan provides a necessary detail in that regard. On the next slide, Chair, this just gives a brief, Honourable Chair, this gives you a brief breakdown of the different programs. The budget of the South African Police Service and APP is structured according to 5 financial programs. Program 1 is basically administration part of the department with specific outcomes that are linked to that. I will touch on that briefly when I go through the remainder of the slide. So Program 1 is responsible for the capability development of the department and associated responsibilities. Then from an operational perspective, Honourable Chair, we have 4 programs. Program 2 that talks to visible policing, Program 3 Detective Service, Program 4 Crime Intelligence, and Program 5 Protection and Security Services. And all of these commitments and outcomes and outputs that are related to these various programs are all focusing on our impact statement that is reflected at the bottom of the slide, and that is a safe and secure environment that is conducive for social and economic stability, supporting a better life for all people in South Africa. Honourable Chair, our plan is structured according to a couple of outputs that I will highlight when I get to the respective slides. In terms of introducing the various programs, Chair, I will focus on the allocation of the current financial year and then highlight one or two of the environments where there's quite significant budgets that has been allocated to. But the total budget associated with Program 1 amounts to 21.9 billion, with 21.7 of that linked to corporate services that I will explain below. 111 million management and 63 million the ministry. The main contributors here, Chair, if you go to the allocation of the 21.7 billion in the corporate services environment, you have your human resource development with 3 billion, technology management services with 2.8 billion, supply chain management 4.5 billion, of which 548 million is for capital building projects, and then your human resource environment with 2.2 billion, finance 1.4, and corporate support 1.2. Just to highlight some of the main contributors in that specific environment. Moving to the next slide, Chair, the specific priorities that are linked to Program 1. As I indicated earlier, Chair, there are 5 main outcomes that are associated with the strategic plan of the department, and 2 of them are relevant to Program 1, that's the law upheld and enforced, and the 5th one is about building a professional and capable SAPS. Now, in this regard, specifically when it comes to increasing feelings of safety and security, our emphasis will be on the improved regulation of firearms, that is the prevention of firearm losses, accessibility, improving accessibility for communities with specific emphasis on the building of new police stations, the procurement and distribution of new mobile contact points, and then also the installation of closed-circuit television systems at identified sites within the South African Police Service. As far as the technology support is concerned, the emphasis is on a national network communication infrastructure, where we have identified 130 sites, for example, that needs to be modernized, and the rollout of the integrated person management system in the department. As far as SAP's capability and capacity is concerned, Chair, we're busy with the annual recruitment. We are targeting 10,000 again in this financial year. And then we have various training programs that supports the operational priorities when one looks at crime prevention, your gender-based violence, public order policing, forensic science, crime intelligence, leadership development, etc. On the next slide, slide number 18, still on the capable SAPs. There's also focus on ethics and integrity within the department, focusing on our integrity advocacy and awareness programs, responding to IPID-related recommendations, and then in terms of your sound corporate governance, emphasis on the execution of the planned internal audit plan, the identified forensic investigations that had to be finalized, the inspections to be conducted by our inspectorate capability within SAPS, and then the approval of our business continuity plan in terms of our information and communication systems. Moving to Program 2, Chair, the total allocation there is, as General Dempane indicated, this program carries the biggest portion of the department's weight, the biggest part of the budget of the department, a weight of 52.9%. It amounts to 60.194 billion. With 46 billion to crime prevention, 2.5 billion to border security, 6.4 to specialized interventions, and 4.9 to facilities. Crime prevention, that includes an allocation of 38.8 billion to crime prevention, railway police, an allocation of 1.3 billion, K9 units, 985 million, mounted police, 177 million, youth, children, and vulnerable group outreach, 41 million, flying squad, 1.3 billion, and then the detention responsibility, 338 million. So in the border security environment, 2.5 billion allocation, and then our specialized interventions, Chair, that includes our special task force, our national intervention unit, tactical response teams, and public order policing, and the total, as I indicated, there is 6.4 billion allocated to that responsibility. Chair, I will then move to the next slide that talks to the detail within Program 2. In Program 2, we have 3 sub-programs. The first one is crime prevention. That includes our social crime prevention responsibilities, police stations, etc. Then we have specialized interventions. As I indicated, that's public order policing, tactical operations, our national intervention, and then border security portion of the budget. The outcomes within the strategy that is supported by this program is related to the upholding the law in the country. And what we focus on there is, first of all, the various threats that has been identified in terms of the work of the economic infrastructure task teams, where we look at the specific issues around illicit mining, your issues that has got an impact on your economic infrastructure, etc. So those specific task teams have been established in the various provinces, and we are currently in process of establishing them as fully fledged units. Also, in the next portion that talks to increasing feelings of safety in the country, that links to the improved regulation of firearms. We are aiming at increasing the firearm recoveries, the illegal firearm recoveries, as well as SAPS firearms that were lost and stolen, as well as the processing of new firearm licenses within the agreed timelines. When one focuses on the reducing of levels of crime, our focus is on reported contact crime as a category that includes all violent crime, and then also the increased crime prevention and combating action plan. Chair, Honourable Chair, that's a key operational plan in the department that is in support of the National Policing Strategy that the National Commissioner made reference to. Reducing escapes, recovery of lost stolen vehicles, and then community engagements, the functioning of the 10111 centres, as well as specific interventions at the top 30 high contact crime stations. Still with Programme 2 on the next slide, focusing on gender-based violence, the establishment of our victim-friendly facilities, as well as providing services to victims of crime within that specific categories, and establishing fully functional police forums at 99.57% of police stations in the country. Maybe just quickly on that one, why not 100%? There's around about 4 very, very small police stations that are very sparsely populated, where it's very impractical to establish and maintain such forums. Moving to the specialized interventions, the focus, Chair, is on crowd management, either through peaceful incidents or as what is categorized as unrest incidents, and then responding and deploying our capabilities to medium to high-risk incidents. That is our National Intervention Unit or our Specialized Task Force. And then as far as border security is concerned, our responses where we have to respond to all the hits that are identified on the movement control systems that we use at that is specifically at your land ports, your seaports, as well as airports. That includes the profiling of persons, the profiling of cargo, as well as the profiling of vehicles flowing through those ports of entry. Chair, moving to Programme 3, this is our program that deals with the investigation of crime. There one will note that the total allocation to this specific program amounts to 22.5 billion, with 15.4 billion going to crime investigation, 2.9 billion to our criminal record center, 1.7 billion to forensic science, and 2.4 billion specialized investigation. Just to give the committee a sense of the lower level breakdown, in our crime investigation, that includes your crime detection with a 12.015 billion. That is what we know as the detective capability at our police stations. Our vehicle theft units, 573 million, stock theft, 700 million, and family violence and child protection units, a total of 1.485 billion. The crime investigation also receive additional capacity that emanate from personnel growth, and there is a continued focus on forensic services. Honourable Chair, I believe the committee is aware of the problems that were identified in the forensic environment, so there is continued emphasis on that specific capability. And then specialized investigations, that is the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, and the National Commissioner indicated that they have a ring-fence budget that is allocated to that, specifically focusing on the resourcing of the DPCI. Then just giving some of the detail on the specific areas of emphasis within Programme 3. Chair, as I indicated, we have the 4 sub-programs. Touching first on the crime investigation, one that you investigate your detectives at our police stations and specialized units. The focus there is on increasing our detection rate for contact crime, the detection rate for contact crime against women and children, as it is reflected there. And what is then also included is the threat that has been identified in terms of the construction sites where we have issues around extortion, etc. So those has also been highlighted as specific areas to be focused on. When we want to look at the organized crime environment, the emphasis, sorry, that's on the next slide, 25. The focus is on the neutralization of drug syndicates and your prioritized organized criminal groups, with emphasis specifically on the neutralization of our drug syndicates, as well as organized criminal groups that are related to the prioritized crime threats that we have referred to earlier. For instance, your extortion and crimes that impacts on your economic infrastructure. Then the next one is about your criminal record and forensic center. There we continue with the focus on the taking of buccal samples of arrested persons in terms of Schedule 8. We are also targeting the effective finalization of forensic leads. That refers to DNA leads, person to crime, DNA leads for crime to crime, and our percentage of fingerprint leads, that is where we have a positive linkage with specific individuals or between specific crime scenes. And then lastly, the leads that are generated through our IBIS, or Integrated Ballistic Identification System. On the next slide, this is the Criminal Record Center, Chair, where we keep record of all the verdicts, that the results of trial, and our aim is to process specifically your guilty verdicts in terms of the identified timelines, as well as then generating previous conviction reports as it is requested by courts. The last portion here on this specific slide, Chair, talks to the work of the Forensic Science Lab, and they are also in support of the investigation of crime. And there we've identified specific categories of exhibits that needs to be finalized within determined timelines, and that it's also been aligned with international standards. That includes the processing of routine case exhibits. Routine case exhibits makes reference to individual case exhibits that are being received. Non-routine is where you have more than one piece of evidence that is linked to a specific crime scene. And then, Chair, there are an indicator that talks to the backlog. The backlog was an issue in the past, and the department is committing to make sure that we don't have a backlog at any time that exceeds 10%. We are also specifically targeting the DNA database, where we also apply the same standard. And then in terms of your ballistic intelligence and your biology DNA intelligence, those are specific standards that has been set with the targets that we must process those within those time frames that have been highlighted. Honourable Chair, the next slide is the work of the DPCI, and there is specifically in this environment focus on serious corruption, serious organized crime, serious commercial crime. As I believe the committee is aware, the DPCI is specifically focused on serious cases that has been reported, with emphasis on corruption in the public and private sector, where they are targeting and those dockets to get them trial ready with the targets as it is indicated. The same applies to the successful investigation of serious organized crime, the identification and closing of clandestine laboratories that is drug related, and processing of cases in terms of serious commercial crime. And the last area of focus is the processing of cyber-related investigations within the timelines and standard as it is reflected. On the next slide, Chair, Honourable Chair, this is Program 4, Crime Intelligence. There are two sub-programs. The first one is Intelligence Operations, and the second one is Intelligence Information Management. The total budget allocation there is 4.7 billion, with 1.9 billion going to operations and 2.7 billion going to intelligence and information management. Now, the main cost driver is within this specific environment is primarily your compensation, and it is a simple, in terms of the breakdown that is provided there, that is how it has been allocated to the two sub-programs, and their focus is then represented on the next slide, where we have the two sub-programs mentioned again, where your crime intelligence operation includes your network operation, the capabilities that we have at the various organizational levels, your overt counterintelligence capabilities, that also includes vetting and other security assessments. And then within the sub-program Intelligence Information Management, that is the portion that includes the provisioning of intelligence reports to our internal clients within the South African Police Service. The areas that we will be reporting on, Honourable Chair, that talks to the violent crime and improved security measures, that relates to specific network operations and the finalization of those operations within the timelines and the standards that are stipulated, the processing of security clearances, the conducting of ICT security assessments, and then also the conducting of overt mandatory physical security assessments with the numbers that are reflected on the slide. Within the proactive and reactive intelligence reports, Honourable Chair, it's the function of this entity or this environment within SAPS to provide the operational capabilities with either proactive or reactive intelligence reports, either at national, provincial or district level. And the aim is that 95% of those intelligence products need to be operationalized in the environment that they are being allocated to. Program 5, Chair, this is your protection services. Here we have VIP protection, static protection, government security regulated and operational support. The total allocation 4.099 billion, with 2.1 going to VIP protection and 1.4 billion going to static protection. And VIP protection services, they are responsible for the protection of the President, the Deputy President, former Presidents and spouses, and then also identify dignitaries while in transit. Your static protection environment is responsible for the protection of local and foreign dignitaries and the places in which all dignitaries, including persons related to the President and the Deputy President, are present. In terms of the breakdown, Chair, there are two divisions that are involved in Program 5. Both of them are responsible for the sub-programs that I've indicated in the first slide, but the breakdown is between protection and security services, the division itself, and then the component that is designated to the protection of the President and the other dignitaries, as I highlighted in the previous slide. What they focus on and what we will be measuring in simple terms, Honourable Chair, members of the committee, is about security breaches in terms of in-transit protection as well as static protection. In terms of both protection and security services as well as presidential protection, the aim is to ensure that there is no security breaches. And then both environments will focus on the auditing of their strategic installations that are relevant to that environment. The numbers are reflected there, as well as national key points that are linked to either the Protection and Security Services Division or the component presidential protection. Honourable Chair, that is a brief rundown of the priorities of the department as well as the measures that we have included in the annual performance plan of the department, on which we will be reporting to the committee on at least a quarterly basis on the progress that we have made in terms of those commitments that are included in the plan. Honourable Chair and members, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I would like to know, General Masemola, is there anything else from the team that you would like to add before we open up the floor for discussion?
No, thanks, Honourable Chairperson. That is all our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General. With that, I'd like to open the floor for a brief discussion. Any comments, etc., or feedback? Honourable Ndlozi, it looks like you are studying that very much in a lot of detail. So yes, please, any points? Honourable Plaatjes, we can start with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to concur with what Honorable Zoze have raised in this meeting. This information is a lot to dissect it in one night. So I think we need more. I just want to get clarity. When you talk about the chair through you, on the compensation expenditure, I want clarity and expansion, maybe to understand. Is it on all compensation? Usually we will read that police are paying out a lot of money to people on issues of cases that they're having in court on compensation. Is that compensation also included on that? When people win cases against for wrongfully arrest and all of that, is it part of that compensation? And how is it aligned? Because what I also see, that is my first question. And also there's a second question on the issue of buildings. When you talk about buildings, how is it aligned with the public works? Your buildings, is it separately budgeted for as police itself, or how do they link it to those that they are occupying that is from public works? I just wanted that two explanations. But I think the information is a little bit compact, and I think we need more time to engage on it.
Thank you, Honourable Plaatjes. I think we'll go through all the questions at once. Honourable James, would you like to ask your question?
Thank you so much, Chair. Mine is not a question as such. Mine is just a contribution. While I might be new to Parliament and new to this committee, I am not new to the challenges that is unfolding in our communities. I am not new to what is happening at our police stations. Yes, we've received this report and I haven't had a chance to read through it and contribute according to the report, but I think what I want to say is in line with everything that was addressed this morning. Things such as we cannot move away from the reality that our police stations are gravely under-resourced. You know, when one questions community development in terms of community safety in terms of the resources that is available for communities, you find that what is on record is not the reality at our police stations. What is on paper is not the reality. And allow me to make an example in terms of vehicles. When we question police station in terms of vehicles that are running, we get told a specific police station has, let's just say, 10 vehicles. Without, when we do investigation, we find that of the 10 vehicles, actually 6 vehicles is in repairs for the past 3 years. Now, that is a great concern, especially in communities. And while we're sitting here today, we don't just represent the communities we hail from, but we represent all the communities. But I want to reference Eldorado Park, Westbury, and Cape Flats, where I have a lived reality there, where violence is unfolding on a daily basis, gang violence and drugs, where we've seen these specialized units that you have referenced earlier on, being deployed to those areas. How effective are those specialized units? Those specialized units come in on the 1st of January. They leave 3 months later, Minister, and congratulations, sorry, I was supposed to start there. They leave 3 months later, and 3 months later, they literally pack up everything, and that's where it ends, and they get deployed to a different area. You don't see any outcome. Millions of monies get spent for that operation, but you don't see tangible results that gets yielded as a result of that deployment. So when I hear, Minister, task team deployed, because I have experience for the past 10 years, task teams gets deployed for a specific period of 3 months, a budget gets allocated, funds gets allocated for sources and all of that, and you don't even see that funds in that community. So task teams, it is something that we need to address. Resources at police station, the language barrier continues to be a challenge at our police stations. The caseload, our chairperson, of our detectives is almost detectives just cannot get through cases, also as a result of resources. And lastly, let me say this. I'm not sure if this House is prepared to actually consider testing many of our men and women in blue in uniform in terms of drugs, whether they themselves are users. I have found many vehicles and policemen walking out of drug houses, sniffing whether white is actually still on their lips, and being part of the very problem that we are trying to address. I am saying to this House, I am new to this committee. I am not new to the challenges that exist in El Dorado Park. And what we see unfolding in El Dorado Park is unfolding across many police stations in our communities. So task teams, I think we need to relook at that also, because they just go in to stabilize the situation. Once the situation has been stabilized, it's back to square one. Congratulations to the Minister and the Deputy Minister. Many of the people sitting in this room today, they actually know me. Congratulations to you, Chairperson, on your appointment. I am delighted to be serving on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable James. Over to Honourable Ndlozi and then Honourable Skosana. Honourable Ndlozi.
Thanks, Chairperson. I don't believe this report. And I don't know how to measure it. I would have thought, so for instance, I'll focus on one aspect as an example, and I realized that in the second round you might be able to provide a counter argument. For instance, the murder rate in South Africa in the last quarter increased by 2.1%. I didn't see it here in this annual performance plan. But I'm worried because this is a very, very important matter to policing in South Africa. I mean, our murder rate can be compared to war zones. You can see the number of people who get killed every day is possibly compared to people who are dying in Palestine every day. The differences may be extremely little. And there is a war, like military bombardments and so on and so forth. That we all know, we understand all of that, that there is this abnormal question of high levels of murder in South Africa. And then if you check the top 30 police stations in relation to murder, the list is almost the same for the last 25 years, with very minimum. There are places that are known here. Is this the murder capital? Police stations, Nyanga, Khayelitsha, Inanda, they repeat themselves for decades. If you took that list of top 30 police stations and then you do it over the years, you will see that there are police stations that are just always there for the last 30 years. So it seems to me there would have been sensitivity to crime prevention. You know where murder takes place. But I don't think there is a strategy. You can go to those communities. And then most of the murders are related to Shibins. They say like people start arguing uncontrollably, and then they kill each other, whether they shoot each other or they are stabbing each other, and then gang-related murders. So I'm saying that, and even the provinces that are always there, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, account for majority of the murders. So what are you saying in this report about that? I'm not able to extract it here. That what are you saying you did to prevent murder? You know the police stations, They're related to communities. They've been there over a long period of time. You have a duty to prevent crime. You have the highest murder rate. We may not be able to compare to during apartheid days, but I suspect that it's worse. Some of the murder rates are, what that we are seeing now, is like when there was war between 1990 and 1996. The number of people who were just killed of murder. What is your report saying? On page 21, percentage reduction in number of reported contact crimes at top 30 high contact crime police stations. I'm not sure, what are you saying? 12.30%, is it an increase, is it a decrease? Please clarify that. But I know that murder has increased. The murder rate is possibly in its highest ever. So I'm asking, you want money, that's why you are here. You want money to go stop murder. What have you been doing? What are the programs to address the prevention of murder? It's actually a very clear, like Shibin's murder gangs. It's the same everywhere where there is murder. And then on the same page, you say that a number of identified SEPS-owned firearms recovered. You would know that part of the problem of South Africa is an indiscriminate distribution of firearms. There's too much illegal firearms in this country. And I want to ask two questions. Do you know what is the percentage of the firearms that are illegal in society? What is the percentage of police lost firearms? A police person, a police woman or man that loses a firearm is a very irresponsible police person, officer. But I'm of course really here wanting do you know the percentages in relation to that? But here you say you recovered 268, which is a 10% increase. I admit, I assume that this is in relation to previous recovery rates, but do you know how many firearms you have lost? Can you give us that number? How many firearms have the police in South Africa lost? So that we know this 10% increase is in relation to what? So if you've got 1,000 firearms that you have lost, last time you recovered 1, now you have recovered 2. It's an increase, but I mean, it's insignificant. So you are handling us, man, here with this report. You are managing us. There's no information. I don't know. So let's unpack that. And then also I wanted to understand, when you say number of illegal firearms recovered, you've got a 1% increase. What is the measure? What is the measure there? What is the standard of measure? Do you have a intelligent number, like proper, that we have got intelligence that these are the number of circulating illegal guns in South Africa, and this is the number that we have increased? I know you are judging yourself in relation to your targets, but you need to tell us, because maybe your targets are also very low. I don't have that plan or that document against which you are measuring yourself. And this is the same with number of escapees from police custody. It's a 10% increase. Can you tell us, how many escapees are there? Just unpack these numbers. Number of vehicles recovered is a 1% increase, but how many? I'm sure you get the drift. And then detective services, page 24. To contact crimes at top 30 high crime, contact crime stations. I don't know what is this. What is 31.6%? Is it an increase of these contact crimes, or is it an increase of the resolution of these contact crimes? Again, I'm interested is, what are you measuring yourself against? Contact crimes against women, 68% is not believable. But we'll see if we can come back on the second round. And then page 25. What accounts for low level or the low level performance in relation to integrated ballistic identification system? You seem to have finalized 38%. But I see that generally you are performing below 50%. Percentage of person to crime DNA leads finalized. Crime to crime DNA leads finalized 47%. What accounts for this low performance? Can you just unpack that for us? Why are you not performing well there? And then I'll tell you now, my final point, sorry, Chairperson. My final point is the use of intelligent technology, or the fourth industrial revolution available gadgets for policing. And maybe that item should come under those administrative services. Like South African police don't have on themselves. One, your guns don't have GPS. Because if a gun is lost, because a GPS device is very small these days. That's why it's in your phones. You can install in the firearm a GPS, so that when it's lost, like a phone, you are able to say, for the next 24 hours or for the next 12 hours, I can be able to locate it where it is. What is your reaction to that? But that also includes like a lot of police on themselves. I don't think on themselves, except the vehicles. They don't have capacity to track them. If all those uniforms had GPS, you would be able to tell where is Detective Ndlozi? Is he doing, or where is Officer Banban? Because some police officers report that they are going to fight crime, and they are somewhere where they're not supposed to be, whether in a shebeen drinking or jolling somewhere. So if you have a GPS program on a daily basis on a screen, you're able to see your deployments. I'm assuming that there should be that capacity. What is your reaction to these two digital programs in terms of improving your capacity to monitor police, to monitor the firearms, of course, the cars as well? It doesn't also look like you've got GPS. I don't know, you can believe advice, because if your cars are lost, if you have got GPS, particularly sophisticated GPS, these small criminals can't take your cars and you can't recover them for a very long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Ndlozi. Honourable Skhosana, would you mind that they answer questions? I'm scared that your question gets lost in translation. If you prefer to ask now, you're welcome, but otherwise let's give them, and then you go first in the next round. Is that okay?
That's super.
Chair,
That's okay.
the member and I have not been recognized.
100%. Honourable Adams, I'll put you on in the next round, and as well. It's just both of you? Okay, perfect. Thank you. General Robbie, do I go to you first for the questions, for answers? General Masemola?
Thanks, Honourable Chairperson. I will answer some of the questions, and the colleagues will take some of the questions. The first question, Honourable Chair, was about compensation, whether it include civil claims. The answer is no. Compensation refers only to what is being paid to police. That might include your informers and so on. Buildings, how are they aligned to DPW? We do get a budget as subs, and also there is budget from DPW. But those that we build ourselves is very minimal. The greater part of the budget is with DPW, and they are the ones that build and maintain our buildings. But General Limpano will expatiate on that, Honorable Chair. Maybe let me give a time now before I go to the next one. General Limpano.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The allocation for infrastructure is 548 million. This includes projects that are dealt with by DPW as well as projects that are dealt with by subs. So we have 95 million that is allocated to those projects that are dealt with by DPW, and the rest of the amount with subs projects in this regard. We monitor this particular allocation. We have forums that we have with DPW in this regard. So an amount of 548 million has been set aside for 24-25. Thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. With Honorable James, we do agree that yes, our vehicles do take long at the garages. Hence, this current financial year, we came up with a project to speed up the process to get vehicles of subs out of the garage, where the problem was mainly about the outsourcing contract that is there, which is not necessarily assisting us. Vehicles takes long. So we are currently having a situation where 70% of the vehicles were outsourced, 30% insourced. But we are changing that situation to be the other way around. And by capacitating our own garages, as well as also employ more mechanics. And we think through that, we'll be able to put more vehicles out there on the street. Task teams, yes, Honorable James, you say after they have been there, the situation relapse. The purpose of having a task team is to ensure that where there is a volatile situation or whatever form, to stabilize, and once it is stabilized, then we hand over to the local police. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work that way. But currently, yes, we are relooking at most of our operations as to how best can we do. Some of them are performing quite well. For example, the project at Emanguzi that is dealing with cross-border vehicle crime. They are doing quite well. But yes, in certain areas like your gangs and drugs, we are not yet there, but we have made quite a number of inroads, and we want to, at this stage, review some of these projects with a view that we can address the deficiencies with regard to what needs to be done best so that we can deal with those responsible. Honorable Ndlozi, yes, the murder rate is it is high, we agree. However, we made quite a number of arrests since last year to now. We have arrested 5,716 murderers that have to still go through the process of court. We are aware, yes, it's not sufficient. We need to get more. But of course, the whole chain of justice, crime prevention needs to have the capacity to deal with those cases. Same as the cases of your GBV. We have a project with the NPA where we have, up to now, since last year, we have produced over 41,000 reports that are dealing or will assist with the prosecution of GBV cases. But of course, it might be that the number of cases on rolls takes quite a bit time. I'm sure you are aware at some point that cases are being postponed far beyond a number of years because of the number of cases that we are putting towards court that are court ready. Yes, indeed, Shebins are one of the drivers for crime. Also, your environmental design is, especially the provinces that you have spoken about, Honorable Ndlozi, Western Cape, KZN. in most areas where these matters are happening, those areas, some of them are such that it's difficult for policing, but we don't say we don't go there. We go there even though the areas are inaccessible, be it day or night, but we still go there and we make sure that we extract those suspects that we do want in those areas. On the number of firearms that as subs we have lost, the total, in total for how many years, that we will have to come back to you. On average, it's 500-600 a year, and we also recover just a little bit above that. But I don't have those specific exact figures. We'll get them and then come back to you. But since last year, April to now, we recovered over 22,000 firearms. Most of the firearms, yes, they are lost from police. They are also lost from South African firearm owners and all other law enforcement agencies. And once they are lost, in most cases, majority of them, the serial numbers get filed and you will not be able to know where they come from. Some we edge them, we know, we discover where they come from. For example, this week, last week, Thursday, Friday, we recovered 20 firearms, very new, with serial numbers filed here in the Western Cape. And so they are so new that we can see they come from somewhere, but we don't know where. We are going to edge them, and once they are being edged, if we discover those numbers, then we'll know exactly where they come from so that we follow up and take action against those that have lost those firearms. GPS, yeah, no, it's true. We don't have GPS on our firearms. It's one of the projects that we want to start this current financial year. Currently, we have GPS on vehicles, the subs vehicles. We do not have GPS on the members themselves, so that is a new one that we will look at it, new innovation. We were tracking vehicles. We track only vehicles and our radios. That's that we do have. But tracking the police man or woman himself or herself, that is something that we will research it and get into it. I'm sure it will assist us as we go along. Yeah, let me allow my colleagues to also respond on those, some of the questions. Thank you very much. Any addition?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Very good morning to yourself. As it was said, congratulations and the committee at large, Lieutenant General Musikidi. I wanted to just add on what Honorable Ndlozi requested on slide 21, to be specific on the issues of the state-owned firearms losses, as well as the vehicle losses that we have, and the fact that the numbers that we see in the brackets, or the numbers that are reflected there, it's actually the performance. That is how we performed the previous financial year. So the increases that are reflected there, it's on the target that was set for the department, on the percentages of what we have or how we performed previously, and General Rabi can outline in terms of the strategic management on how we set up the targets. But then to come to the numbers, Chair, on the state-owned firearms, in the past 3 years, we lost 712, 742, and 741. That is the previous financial years, 3 years back. So the recoveries will be out of those numbers that I am reading out now. Similarly, with the vehicles, I think on the number 28,668, where we have 1% increase. That will then include the 37,402, 37,461, and 36,781, meaning the year one on 37,402, how we performed will then explains that on year three of 36,781, we recovered more, 1% more than we have performed the previous year. So that is the clarity that I needed to provide. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, General. I want to firstly apologize. I was just communicated to that there was a mix-up or there's pressure in terms of venues, so we actually have to move to an additional menu or a different venue now. So I just want to adjourn right there. I'm very sorry to interrupt right in the middle of the answers. Honourable Ndlozi, we have to go and look at the program. But I was just communicated, so let's go. We have to go to 120 Plain, Committee Room 2. Sorry, Chair. Minister.
Chair.
No, we just want to make one comment to say, I think we need to position ourselves, the honourable members, all of us honourable members, that much as we can identify a problem or two, a weakness or two in terms of the status quo, but I think we need to move forward with an attitude that say, how do we address the challenges that are facing all of us so that we measure ourselves with those undertakings and those positions that we take in relation to. So we appreciate the comments, but at the same time, I think we need to begin to position ourselves, because we're not going to be seen to be delivering and working if we plant ourselves in terms of just what is happening. Of course, these questions are valid, but the response to them and how we position ourselves going forward is more important. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable Skhosana, before we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out where we are going, that room is ready, because we came in here, we stood outside here for a very long time. I hope where we are going are not going to stand outside again.
We must ask that question when we get there. Unfortunately, none of us in here, so
no, but we'll do what we can. Disorganized, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Skhosana. We're going to 120 Plain, Committee Room 2.
All right,